We got a lot to talk about here this week. Our Alabama weather headlines. It's warm and muggy. Coming off the weekend rain, any sun that comes out is going to just make it feel very sultry. Probably give a heat index factor that's in the lower 90s, even though much of the state is in the 80s, especially northern Alabama. Severe thunderstorms will headline our weather week, and it'll be Tuesday evening with all modes of severe weather looking like possible, if not likely. And then things will calm down and we'll get a little bit of a cool down late in the week. So let's get right to it. We'll start with what's the national picture here. And this is just before 9 o'clock on this Monday morning. We had some thunderstorms roll through northern Alabama early this morning. That has come to an end. And the boundary today is going to be a little bit further to the north. Our rain and storm threats should be confined to the Tennessee Valley and Ohio Valley as yet another potent system ejects out of the Rockies. There's a look at the southeast altogether. There's that rain from this morning is now fizzled over the Appalachians there in Georgia. It is warm. It is muggy. It is cloudy across much of the southeast and the state of Alabama. Again, a look at temperatures here as we approach 9 o'clock Monday morning. Mid-70s and a dew point to match. This is what you look at this time of year when you're trying to figure the heat index, is a measure of how much moisture we have. And this is that oppressive level when you start to get 70 and higher. So let's go a look at the big synoptic view. When we say synoptic, we're talking about a big regional view. This synoptic refers to, your big frontal systems, your lows, your ridges, your troughs. And this is later today. Big trough, as you just saw with that surface front coming out of the Rocky Mountains. And once again, this will spawn very active weather in the middle of the country. That trough shifts east as we get into Tuesday. And then the severe threat will do exactly the same, shift east, focused on the southeast, the Ohio Valley, on Tuesday afternoon. By Wednesday, we start to see the jet stream flatten out a little bit. We'll be fairly zonal, so we don't immediately see a cool down here across the southeast, though temperatures will ease a little bit by midweek. It's not until Thursday into Friday that trough starts to gain a little bit of momentum here, and it digging into the southeast, well, that could bring about some much cooler air for the northern half of Alabama. There might be a bit of a gradient here where the southern half of the state doesn't get a whole lot cooler. Sometimes this time of year it's tough to get a frontal boundary, some cooler air down south of I-20, but nevertheless, part of Alabama will certainly be in a bit of a chill, much more comfortable temperatures, I think, as we head into Memorial Day weekend. Of course, if you're headed to the lake, you probably don't want to hear that, but good news, this time of year, our temperatures rebound quickly. We'll have the threat for some isolated showers, a few thunderstorms around for Memorial Day weekend, but nothing of the same severity is what we will see the next couple of days. So our severe threat Monday is depicted by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. They've put a moderate risk of severe weather bullseye, maybe where you'd expect severe weather to be this time of year, from the Central Plains, including Oklahoma, up into southwestern Missouri, southeastern Kansas, northwestern Arkansas, and a slight risk that stretches from St. Louis down to about Blairsville, Georgia, includes Nashville and an extreme northeastern part of Alabama. But again, as I mentioned, I think today the boundary keeps rain and thunderstorms primarily to the north and east of Alabama. This is day 2, a Tuesday outlook, an enhanced risk area from Bowling Green down to Grenada to Winona, Mississippi along that I-55 corridor, and then from Huntsville down to, say, Hamilton, Haleyville, Fayette, Jasper, slight risk area that includes the Birmingham Metro, all the way up to Gadsden, down through Tuscaloosa, down to Jackson, Mississippi, and that puts it in our neck of the woods tomorrow. So this is the Alabama view, and this will primarily be Tuesday evening after 5 p.m., and all modes of severe weather look possible with this, so something that will certainly all of Alabamians keeping an eye on. And really, if you're south of Montgomery, you might not get any rain at all. You'll see that depicted by our future view here. So I want to take the wide view beginning at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Again, that severe threat today is fairly marginal, conditional one that will stay in the northern part of the state. So I want the focal point to be here on Tuesday. And what we'll see is a frontal boundary that's to the northwest. Same thing that we associated, that upper air trough. Just ahead of it will be a cold front, and that will be the initialization point of thunderstorms Tuesday afternoon. So we will see those storms becoming more in a line, a broken line at that, by the evening. This is at 5 o'clock, kind of when our window opens here, an isolated strong thunderstorm up near Florence, the Shoals, the Tennessee River. And then closer to 7, 8 o'clock, that line really starts to move into northern Alabama, stretching from Huntsville down to Hamilton, Haleyville, back towards Vernon, stretching into Starkville, Mississippi, back towards Kosciuszko, and that I-55 corridor south of Greenwood there. And this line will move off to the east-southeast during the night. So at 10 o'clock, it's close to the Birmingham Metro. It's northern Tuscaloosa County, stretches up towards Collinsville, Albertville, Fort Payne, and northeast Alabama. And along this, we'll have the potential for some gusty winds, a tremendous amount of lightning, hail, and potentially tornadoes early on. That tornado threat, as you'll see here, will be diminishing throughout the night. This is at midnight, Wednesday, early into Wednesday morning. See that line now past the Birmingham Metro, stretching from Calera over to Jacksonville, Heflin, and weakening back towards Demopolis. We should see a gradual weakening trend with this line. As you'll note, by 2 o'clock, this is over near Lake Martin, northern Chambers County, southern Randolph County, and by this point, probably well below severe limits as it fizzles overnight. By the sunrise on Wednesday, we don't have the rain reach the wiregrass. We don't have the storms hold together to get into southeast or southwest Alabama. So this will primarily be focused in the northern half of the state Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. So one of the parameters we look at here, amongst many, is EHI, Energy Helicity Index. And what this is looking for is where we have good updrafts, vertical motion in the atmosphere, and we have rotation or wind shear present to make cells rotate, supercells rotate. So looking ahead to the evening, you see where it says likely, very likely, extremely likely. That's the likelihood of storms to rotate about an updraft. And you look here at 5 o'clock, and where is that most likely? The northwestern corner of the state, in Marion County, in Lamar County, perhaps in Fayette County. So this is where our tornado threat will likely be higher during the evening. We move ahead to about 8 o'clock, and you see that over Fayette. You see that over Pickens County. This is not depicting we're going to have tornadoes there. It just shows that the environment might be more sustainable for a rotating updraft, rotation within a broken line, within a supercell. Watch, though, as we get closer to about 10 o'clock. We still have that in marginal amounts of, over in Tuscaloosa County, perhaps on the Greene, Hale County line. And again, this is a ways out. This is over 24 hours out. So this could change, but you'll notice the trend weakening as we get closer to midnight and then early Wednesday morning. Instability factors or parameters will be dropping. That means as we cool at the surface, there's not as big of a temperature discrepancy between the surface and the atmosphere aloft. The greater that temperature change between warm air at the surface and cold air aloft, the more violent or more strength there will be to that rising air. We should see that dropping throughout the overnight, and our wind shear values moving away from that cold front will be dropping as well. But again, tornado threat will be in line with this, along with hail and damaging winds to watch carefully. By 2 in the morning, really lost a lot of our energy as well as our wind shear profiles, but we will watch this all the way through as it will carry that severe threat. And of course, by the start of the day, it's all but done. We will have no more rain, and the line will have fizzled out, and leading to a much quieter Alabama week. This is a rough look at the time, and again, this may change too. Just from what I've looked at here, we've got 5 to 9 for locations along the Tennessee River, Huntsville, north of Fayette, Marion, Winston County, all the way over to Cullman. From 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, it's a pretty big window, but moving through the Birmingham Metro, through Tuscaloosa, parts of Fayette County, parts of Walker County, Etowah, Blount, Cullman counties, and then further south into maybe Shelby County, Bibb County, Calhoun, Talladega counties from 10 o'clock to 2 a.m. Again, these are wide windows that will narrow as we move forward. But again, all modes of severe weather possible. The tornado threat will be highest in that orange area, and then we'll watch, in general, a weakening trend as we head into the overnight. So stay weather aware, of course, so we'll watch this very carefully here, very closely. It is May. Our severe threat in Alabama goes through the end of May. And this is a perfect example of that. So what about late week temperatures? Well, behind this front, it won't immediately be cooler. Thursday afternoon, highs in the 80s, even 90s in southwestern Alabama before we see these temperatures ease. So we'll move into Friday morning. Remember that trough I showed you in the upper air look? This is showing that cooler air getting down here. Now, this is just one model. This is the GFS. And this is depicting, lows in the 40s, perhaps all the way down, to northern Jefferson County to Birmingham. I think that's a little extreme. I don't think we get into the 40s. But this just goes to show that there's cool air coming into play. By Friday afternoon, highs are going to be in the 70s in much of central Alabama, 80s in southeast and southwest Alabama, but we may have highs in the 70s all the way down to Montgomery. So a decent cool down behind this system. Saturday morning, more of the same, not quite as cool, but 50s across the northern half of the state, perhaps some 40s in the Tennessee Valley, and it'll be a bit warmer. But even the Wiregrass, you drop down to the 50s this time of year, you take away the humidity factor, and it'll feel pretty dang nice as we head into Memorial Day weekend. As I mentioned, over the weekend, we will have that potential for isolated showers and a few thunderstorms, but not to the magnitude or to the coverage of what we have early in the week. Speaking of temperatures, they will be impacted a little bit by rain, of course, over the next several days, but notice the northern half of the state is once again, this is very similar to our map last week. It's very top heavy. The northern half of the state is going to be seeing the majority of the rainfall, and this is 7-day rain total, so this would go through early next week as well. But about a half an inch once you get south of Birmingham, Sylacauga, Tuscaloosa, about a half inch or more. Birmingham and points north. There may even be a few spots in northern Alabama that see in excess of that, and that's always possible with a line of thunderstorms that moves through. Not an exact science that the WPC is looking at. An overall trend is more so the pattern. But our temperatures through Memorial Day weekend and even into next week are going to be a little bit below average. So perhaps some ease to this May heat that we've had. We'll keep a close eye on it as we move forward. Again, we'll keep you posted on these severe weather threats as we progress into the day on Tuesday. Stay weather aware, and we'll have updates for you. Hope everybody has a wonderful start to the week. See you next time.